In 1975, a 24-year-old engineer carried a strange machine into a room full of his bosses. It weighed about 8 pounds. It was built out of spare parts, a lens from a movie camera, a fistful of batteries, and a cassette tape deck. It took 23 seconds to record a single black and white photograph, and the picture it produced was so low resolution you could count the squares. He plugged it into a television, and a face appeared on the screen. No film, no chemicals, no developing. Just a picture made of numbers. The engineer's name was Steve Sasson, and he had just invented the digital camera. The room he was standing in belonged to Kodak, the most dominant photography company that has ever existed. And by his own account, the response he got was polite curiosity and a suggestion that he not go around telling people about it. 37 years later, in January of 2012, that same company filed for bankruptcy. Now, you have heard this story before, and you have almost certainly heard it wrong. The popular version is that Kodak invented digital photography and then hid it in a drawer out of fear, and that this stupidity killed them. That version is wrong in almost every detail, and the true version is far more useful because Kodak did not miss the future. They invented it, they patented it, they sold it, and at one point they were the biggest digital camera company in America. They died anyway. This is the story of why, explained so simply a 5-year-old could follow along. Let me start by taking the myth apart, because you cannot understand the collapse until the myth is out of the way. Kodak did not hide the invention. They patented it. That patent and the thousands that grew out of it would eventually earn the company hundreds of millions of dollars in licensing. They also did not refuse to sell digital cameras. Kodak sold digital cameras for years. In the mid-2000s, Kodak was the #1 seller of digital cameras in the United States. Read that again. The company famous for missing digital photography was, at one point, winning digital photography. So if they saw it, patented it, built it, and led it, what exactly killed them? Here is the 5-year-old version, and it is the whole episode. Imagine you sell razors. You sell the actual razor handle for almost nothing, practically give it away, because the handle is not the business. The business is the blades. Every week for the rest of that customer's life, they come back and buy blades from you, and the blades are where all of the money is. This is a wonderful business. It is one of the best business models ever invented. Now imagine somebody invents a razor that never needs a blade again, and imagine that somebody is you. That was Kodak. The camera was the handle. Film was the blade. Kodak sold cameras cheaply, sometimes at a loss, because a camera was a machine for creating a lifelong film customer. Film was extraordinarily profitable, and Kodak owned that market almost completely. At their peak, they had something like 90% of film sales in the United States. Every wedding, every holiday, every birthday in America ran through their chemistry. Digital photography does not have a blade. You buy the camera once, then you take 50,000 photographs, and Kodak earns nothing, forever. So Kodak was not facing a technology problem. They solved the technology. They were facing an arithmetic problem, and the arithmetic was brutal. Every digital camera they sold was a small victory that destroyed a large amount of future profit. They were being asked to trade a dollar for a dime and to do it enthusiastically, on purpose, for years. And this is where a company's greatest strength becomes the thing that holds it underwater. Because Kodak was not just a business, Kodak was a city. The company was headquartered in Rochester, New York, and at its height, it employed well over 100,000 people worldwide, tens of thousands of them in that one town. It had enormous factories built for one purpose: coating film. Those factories, that workforce, that century of chemical expertise, all of it was a monument to the blade. None of it helped you make a sensor. So when Kodak moved into digital, it moved the way a very large animal moves. It kept one foot planted in film because film was still paying for everything, including the digital experiments. It hedged. It launched digital products that were quietly designed to still involve prints, because prints meant paper and chemistry and Kodak. It kept trying to find a version of the future that had a blade in it somewhere. Meanwhile, the competition had no such problem. Companies that had never sold a roll of film in their lives were free to make the cheapest, best digital cameras they could. because they had nothing to protect. And then, right as Kodak's digital camera business finally got going, something arrived that killed digital cameras too. Phones. The camera stopped being a product you buy and became a feature you already own. Kodak had spent 30 years fighting to survive the death of film, and just as it began to find its footing, the ground moved a second time. By then, the company was carrying an enormous cost base built for a world that no longer existed. On the 19th of January, 2012, Eastman Kodak filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. And here comes the detail that makes this story land. In the bankruptcy, Kodak sold off a huge portfolio of its digital imaging patents, roughly 1,100 of them, for around $525 million. Those patents trace back to the work of that 24-year-old engineer and the people who followed him. The company's last major act of value creation was selling the future it had invented, to pay the debts of the past it could not put down. Kodak emerged from bankruptcy in 2013. It still exists today as a much smaller company doing commercial printing and specialty film. It is not a ghost. It is just no longer the thing it was. Steve Sasson, for what it is worth, was later awarded the National Medal of Technology and Innovation. The invention was never the failure. So what do you actually take from this? First, and this is the correction that matters, the danger is almost never that you cannot see the future. Kodak saw it clearly enough to build it in 1975. Blockbuster saw it clearly enough to beat Netflix in 2006. Seeing it is the easy part. Acting on it means voluntarily destroying the thing that is currently paying your salary, and almost no large organization can do that quickly because the people whose jobs depend on the old thing are the same people who have to approve the new thing. Second, the better your business model is, the more dangerous it is. A weak business has nothing to defend and can change direction overnight. Kodak had one of the great business models in commercial history, and that is precisely what changed it. Nobody voluntarily walks away from 90% margins. They wait, and they hedge, and they look for a version of the future that lets them keep the margin. That version usually does not exist. And third, being early is worth nothing on its own. Kodak was 20 years early to digital photography, and it did not save them. Being first to invent something and being the one who profits from it are two completely different skills, and companies routinely have the first without the second. The scam never changes, and neither does this. A company does not usually die because it was blind. It dies because it could see perfectly well and could not bring itself to burn down the thing that was still, right up until the end, making money. If you want more true stories like this, drawn badly on purpose and explained simply on purpose, subscribe. Next time, the company that was Amazon 100 years early. It shipped anything you wanted to your door from a catalog. It built the tallest building in the world, and then it forgot what it was.